to try to, right, pretty young, right, all thin women that are trying to entice other men to come. And you hear a quote in the middle from the filmmaker, who said, "Our original ideas were admittedly sophomoric. Pics of hot chicks were pretty all protesty. Videos of hot chicks beating drums in slow-mo, etc. But when we arrived in Zuccotti Park in New York City, it evolved into something more," right? So then he wants you to kind of, now it's altruistic, right? Now at the end of this, even though this was the intention, this is what happened at the end. So I get it, even though this was up on the blogosphere for a while. So I pull out for you kind of like some of the criticisms and critiques of like why this guy even thought this, why is this possible, right? Why this is right wholly absurd. But it still, right, shows how Occupy Wall Street is still falling into this kind of sexist and patriarchal tropes, right? You see it kind of sexifying, really making sexy violence against women. So you see that these police officers were holding down these women, right? It's really, really just horrible. And then the fact that we're calling them chicks, right? So we're really demeaning even the words and language that we use. Talk about other people that the Declaration says it's about all humanity, but we are degrading them in how we see them. And for our time purposes, I probably won't get into too much about the Occupy the Hood. But Occupy the Hood kind of also grew organically out of Occupy movement, that there was a lack of attention to things that were going on in poor African and Latino communities and Native American communities. One of the things that Occupy the Hood, and now this is really, really small, and I hope we have an outlet to upload our presentations. I think all the presentations should be uploaded somewhere so that people who are not able to partake can see these things. But one of the things that Occupy the Hood is doing is rallying for justice for Trayvon Martin. And so the Million Hoodie March was last night in New York. This is going on right now, I guess like later on tonight in Stanford, Florida. But this is was for me, which was so mind-blowing, which was absent from the Occupy Wall Street. Any type of individuals, so each city has like their own website. Now this is missing from all of the Occupy Wall Street kind of movements, right? You only see this here in Occupy the Hood. So I think that where Occupy Wall Street is missing on kind of a call to social justice by looking at how racism has still lived consequences for black bodies, that Occupy the Hood is kind of speaking up because this is indigenous to what's going on in their communities. I think that, and Occupy the Hood has some really radical Afrocentric terminology that might, I think, might turn off some mainstream people. They've been using words like decolonize, right? Talking about American cities like Detroit, Oakland, as colonized, right? It's super powerful. And in their statements, America is spelled with 3 Ks, right? So it's explaining where these people's ideology. And this is again really small, and I hope we'd be able to have an outlet to publish our slides. But one of the things that I appreciated through Occupy the Hood is kind of like the last longer bullet point, is that they recognizes Holocaust identifies genocides of our people. And they go on to name an inclusive list of our people, which is something that Occupy Wall Street does not have. So this list, right, includes the Trail of Tears. It includes the landing of Columbus, right, and the assault on